Good morning, student. Today I'm going to continue the chapter Face of It, which is from Vistas, written by Susan Hill. First of all, the recap of the chapter. Derry climbs over the wall. As you all know, the Derry and the Lamb are the two characters, both are the handicapped. So Derry climbs over the wall and enters the Mr. Lamb's garden. Mr. Lamb offered to give crab apples to Derry. Derry get panic, but Mr. Lamb comforts him. And Derry says that the people fear him because of his ugly face. On one side of his face got burned as a bottle of the acid fall over it. So Derry suffers from the complex. He remains lonely and avoids the people. He can't stand the uncharitable remark of the people aimed at him. So Mr. Lamb advised him that he can't lock himself in a room forever. He must shut up his ear and stop listening to what others say to him. Mr. Lamb shows him the way and said that Derry, you has 2 eyes, 2 ears and leg and has got a tongue and brain. So you can do better as other people can do. Mr. Lamb himself has a tin leg, but he doesn't bother. He takes life as it comes. He doesn't mind people calling him Lamey Lamb. So this is the recap of the chapter. Now we continue. The Derry asked, and how would he climb up ladder to pluck the apple to Mr. Lamb? He replied that there were a lot of things that we had learned to do. Then Derry asked that if he climbed the tree alone and fell from it and broke his neck, he would lie on the grass and dead. Mr. Lamb said that it could happen. Anything can happen. Derry asked if he could help him pluck the apples. Derry was just very curious to do so. So Mr. Lamb said that if he could help him, if he want to, he cannot compel to anyone. Derry said that his mother would be waiting for him, and his house was 5 miles away across the field. He was 14 years old, and still he was supposed to tell his mother where he was. Mr. Lamb added that people had the habit to worrying. So your mother worried about you. That is why she used to know about you. Derry added that actually they were in the habit of fussing, not worrying. This was the negative attitude of the Derry. Mr. Lamb asked to go home and inform his mother of his whereabouts. His house was 3 miles away only, as the weather was fine and he had legs and he could easily go home and tell them and return. Derry said that once he went home, he would not be allowed to return. Mr. Lamb added that once home, Derry himself would not feel like coming back. He knows very well those who went away never come back. Derry said that Mr. Lamb did not know what all he could do. Mr. Lamb, obviously, you know very well what you can do. Derry started to say that if he chose, but he interrupted by the Lamb. He said that Derry had to choose and he could not tell him what to do. Obviously, choice is yours. What you want to do, you can do. So, Derry said that his family forced him to think their ways, act according to the family. Mr. Lamb said that it was Derry's wish to agree with them or not. If you're willing to agree, whatever the parents want to do, you can do, and if you want to do with your wish, go for with your wish. Obviously, you can go. Derry was confused about he wanted something that was only his, and no one had it, like the garden. Mr. Lamb said that he could find out what he wanted. Derry asked how he would do that. He was so confused. Mr. Lamb told him to wait, watch and listen. He added that he had to see the bees which was there behind the trees. Daddy asked that did the other visitor talk to Mr. Lamb? Mr. Lamb replied that some did, some did not. Daddy asked that he did not believe that someone ever visited the place. Mr. Lamb lived alone all by himself. No one cared about him. Mr. Lamb said that Daddy could think as he pleased. Obviously, this is your decision. If you are thinking whatever you like to think, think. Daddy asked his name of some visitor. Lamb said that names are nothing. They could be like a Tom, Dick, Harry, anything. He left to see the bees. Daddy said that perhaps Mr. Lamb was mentally challenged. Mr. Lamb said that was a good excuse for Daddy. Mr. Lamb was really very amazed with this comment and said, Daddy, this is a good excuse not to coming back. Daddy said, Mr. Lamb did not talk sense. That's why he said so. Mr. Lamb repeated that it is a good excuse for not returning to the garden. This shows both of them suffering with loneliness. Daddy's face was burned, which was other people's excuse not seeing the Daddy. Daddy said that Mr. Lamb was like other people. If he was not sorry for his face was burned, then maybe he was scared of it. This was a thinking of Daddy. If not that, then maybe he thought that the Daddy was a ugly and devil. He added that he was a devil. Daddy shouted. Mr. Lamb did not reply. He had gone to see the bees. Daddy became calm and said Mr. Lamb did not think him to be a devil. He is not a devil. He liked the garden. He will come back. So he just wanted to prove himself that he is a good boy and he was not like a devil, and he also wants something and also want to become a good or normal human being. Then he got up and shouted that he was leaving and that he would return to see him. He decided that he will return back to the garden. He liked the garden. He did not have a leg, could run and would be back soon. He then commented that I won't have the 10 leg. I can come back. Daddy ran off. The place was silent with the sound of the creatures of the garden. There were so many birds, so many insects were there. Mr. Lamb talked to the bees that they saw all that happened. They all knew that no one ever returned to the garden. This shows Mr. Lamb's loneliness. He knows very well that those who went away never come back. He always remained alone in this garden. Now scene 2. The second scene is at the Daddy's house, and the Daddy is talking to his mother. His mother asked, what did the Daddy think of her? She had already heard about Mr. Lamb. Daddy told her not to believe what others said, but she warned him that she knew what was required to be known about any person and therefore asked him not to go back. Now this was the conversation between the mother and the Daddy. Daddy just wanted to return back to the garden and mother was asking where you are going, whom you are talking about, and you need not to go back. Daddy asked her the reason of her fear. He told her that Mr. Lamb was just an old man with a 10 leg and had a big house without curtain and garden. And he said that he wanted to go back and listen to the things. His mother was very curious to know, was it that he wanted to listen? क्या सुनना चाहते हैं? What do you wanted to listen? He replied that he wanted to hear bees singing and wanted to listen what Mr. Lamb said. Means he just wanted to convert his life from the submissiveness from the negative to positive way. His mother was so submissive and wanted to keep the boy inside the house so that no one say anything, no one look at him, and he may be safe in the house. But Daddy wanted to look the world. That is why he wanted to go to Mr. Lamb and see the world, and he just wanted to face the world. But she didn't find it suitable, and so he told him to stay at home and think about what he wanted to do. Daddy said he hated to remain at home. He didn't want to stay at home. His mother accused him for speaking wrong because he felt bad, and so spoke like that way. Miss Daddy said that it had nothing to do with his face. Now, the thinking of the Daddy has been changed. The important thing was how to thought and what he saw or heard. If you think positive, you become positive. This was the thinking of Daddy. Now his thinking has been changed. He announced that he would go back into the garden to help Mr. Lamb with the crab apples. His mother tried to stop him, but he ran away, shutting the door behind him. Now, the third scene, he reached Mr. Lamb's garden, and there was a sound of branches. Mr. Lamb was talking to himself while he was plucking the apples. Suddenly, a harsh sound of the cracking wood was heard, and the ladder fell down on the ground. Mr. Lamb fell too. Daddy opened the gate, and he was still breathing rapidly and declared Mr. Lamb that he had returned. He looked at him and found him lying on the ground. He fell near him and tried to talk to him, but no one replied. Daddy kept on calling him Mr. Lamb, his name, and suddenly he started crying. He did so because he realized that Mr. Lamb was no more. This shows that the handicapped people obviously feel loneliness in this world, and this accident may be happen anytime, but it gives the huge change in Daddy's life, and he started thinking positive. He became a positive person now. He took the place of Mr. Lamb, and there in the garden, and he just wanted to face the world by his own way, by his own liking. He was not scared with the people now. He just wanted to remain as it is. He just accepted the reality of the life, and that is why he was there in the garden. Okay, children, thank you. I think you can able to understand very well this chapter. Read the chapter nicely so that you may understand properly.